So yesterday I was talking about this performance testing stages, right? First stage is requirement gathering. Second one is test strategy or test plan. Third one is performance test design. In third stage, we'll have Jmeter tool and scripting. Fourth stage is execution. Here we'll have Jmeter tool execution. And this fifth stage is results, and final stage is recommendation analysis. Fifth stage is analysis, monitoring and analysis and results, and final stage is recommendation. Okay, let me talk about the first stage and second stage today. Okay. Okay, so what are NFRs? As I told you yesterday, NFRs are non-functional requirements. So what are functional requirements? So for example, if you take a phone, mobile phone, I have given a mobile phone example here. If you take a mobile phone, for mobile phone, we have two things: product features and product properties. What are product features? For example, these are the product features, right? The style of phone. If it is 5-inch phone, is it a 6-inch phone, 6.5-inch phone is one feature, right? Does it support Bluetooth? This is also one feature. Mobile data, another feature. Wi-Fi, another feature. Camera, another feature, right? These are called mobile phone features, right? Then what are property? Properties of a mobile phone is it unbreakable? Is it a waterproof? Right? The property, right? It is supporting mobile data. Supporting mobile data is a feature, but does it support 5G? That is a property, right? And it is having camera. That is a feature, right? But how many megapixels? That is a property, right? So this is how you can differentiate between functional and non-functional. These features of a mobile phone are functional requirements, and properties of a mobile phone are non-functional requirements, right? That is how you need to relate with the actual application. Right? In actual application also, what are we more worried about? What functional law, if login page is loading successfully or not, we are getting the home page or not, we are worried about that in functional. But in non-functional, how long it is taking to load the page, how quickly the page is loading. So all these things we have to capture. So these are the real-time examples of non-functional requirements. Yesterday I covered this, and again I am explaining you this again. So number of users handled by an application is one NFR, and the page's response time of each and every page is another NFR, and the number of requests processed by the application in 1 hour. For example, if they give 10,000 requests, we need to they give us 10,000. We need to achieve 10,000 requests or transactions in 1 hour. That is this. And CPU utilization 75%. CPU utilization of web server, application server, and database server, right? So we have, for any application, we have all these three servers, right? So this is one more NFR. CPU utilization during your load test should not cross 75%. Memory utilization during your load test should not cross 75%. So error rate. So while you are testing, you will get some errors also, right? Right? You are testing with load, with 1,500, 1,000 user, 2,000 user load. What will happen for some applications while you are testing? If you are testing with huge load, what will happen? Sometimes you will get page not found issues, okay, internal server issues, that kind of issues because of slowness, because of application slowness, and issues and vastayi. So that when those issues are coming, what you will see in your test? Errors, right? So those errors should not cross 3%. Okay, this is one performance standard, 3% If the errors are going beyond 3%, again, that is an issue. So these are the NFRs. Okay. Instead of few NFRs, you need to take from your transaction law. You are doing fund transfer. You clicked on fund transfer button. That time your page is loading if it gave any error. That is, these are not functional errors. See, మీరు టెస్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు when you are performing performance test, functional testing should be successfully tested. Appude you have to perform your performance test, non-functional test, right? So while you are performing this non-functional testing, functional issues are undergo. If you are getting functional issues, then also you will get error, right? You should not consider that error if you are getting functional issues, because that is not your part. What is your part? Your part is performance. So performance related errors only you need to consider in this 3%. What are performance related errors? Page not found, 404 error, 500 internal server error. All these are performance issues. Why these are performance issues? Because when you will get these errors, whenever your application is slow, right? Those errors only you need to consider. For example, I am in my company, I am performance, I'm doing load test for a banking application. Okay, in that test I used to get 7%, 8%, 10%, 12% errors also. Okay, in those errors 90% of my errors are functional errors. So I don't want to consider those errors. What errors you have to consider? Performance errors. So you need to understand the difference between performance and functional errors. So if your client is asking, while you are giving your results to your client or manager, if they ask you why the error rate is high, then you should be confident enough and you should tell your manager or client that these are functionality issues. These are not performance related issues. These are functionality issues. How can you differentiate between functional and non-functional errors? Functional errors will come even manually also with one user. One user to login అయితే functionality సరిగ్గా చెక్ చేయకపోతే you will get errors, right? But when you will see non-functional issues, when there is load only, that functionality might be working with one user, but if you are running that with 500 users or 1000 users, if you are getting error, then that is non-functional error. That errors only you need to consider. So these are the real-time examples for NFRs. Till this point, is it clear? So yes.
Hello.
Yes.
If we get the functional errors, is it possible to continue our performance testing? Because, for example, I have entered the username, password, and I click on the login button.
Correct.
As a functional testing, only we got the error message.
Correct.
Then what will happen to performance testing? It will get pass or fail.
It is a failure, right? It is a failure.
Functional failure. So then it is also, we can tell that is a performance failure.
We cannot proceed with performance test. If there is a login error, we cannot proceed with performance test. But what will happen is, nowadays, because of this DevOps culture, what is happening? Monthly releases are happening, right?
Yes.
Previously,
yes.
There are no monthly releases concept.
Yes.
Okay. Like within 5 months, 6 months, release. But nowadays, monthly releases are happening because of DevOps culture. So parallelly, all the testings are happening. While the functional people are testing on UAT, that time only performance testers are doing performance test on NFT environment. What is NFT environment? NFT environment is another environment, non-functional test environment, right?
Okay. Yes.
So same time when functional people are doing functional testing, the same time we are also doing performances. Then that time what will happen? We will get functional issues sometimes because functional testing is still in progress.
Yes.
So ilant problems, you will also face these kind of problems once you join in your company, right? Because of DevOps culture, you will have monthly releases. That time, if if you say to your manager that you will do performance testing only after functional testing, you will have less than 1 week, right?
Yes.
By the time functional testing is completed on UAT, and if by the time they give sign off on UAT, there will be only one week production goal line.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
What
right.
you will do? Within 1 week, what you will do? If any performance issues are coming that time, will you be able to resolve those issues within 1 week?
No, it's not possible.
It's very difficult. So nowadays, what we are doing, we have to do performance testing parallelly with while functional testing is going. Like
So,
for 3-4 weeks.
okay.
So what will happen while you are doing performance testing? You will see lot of functional issues. Then what you need to do? You need to contact your functional testing team, and they would have raised the defects for those issues. You need to wait until they resolve those issues. Sometimes, though there are functional issues, you need to proceed with your performance testing. Login related functional issues on we cannot perform any testing because login is the primary thing, right? Without
Yes.
login, we cannot proceed. But
Yes.
there are some functionality issues like for example, take the application which I am working, a banking application. So I do performance testing for fund transfer and bill payments. There can be functional issues for credit card related issues. Okay, I am not testing credit card related. I am just testing
Performance.
fund transfer and bill payment.
Yeah.
So those things, then you can proceed with your performance, right? That's
Yes.
how you need to manage.
Okay. So we can tell that wherever the functional testing we got the issues, then
Exactly.
we also have the performance issues, right?
Exactly. If there are if there are functional related issues, you have to ignore that. You
Okay.
have to tell them that these are functionality issues.
Okay.
Okay. Sometimes what will happen in fund transfer itself, we are having functional issues. Even now, while I'm testing, I have functional issues at fund transfer bill payments sometimes. Okay, we have to ignore those.
Okay.
We'll ignore that particular transaction because we'll ignore only that fund transfer submit button.
Okay.
But remaining transactions are working, right? Launch, login, bill payments, all those transactions will be working. So we will give performance test results for those transactions. We will exclude fund transfer click button.
Means, for example, before clicking the submit button, we are entering the fields, right?
Correct.
So we can consider that entering the
Correct.
fields is
Exactly.
taking the correct performance. So we have to just only leave the submit button, and we have to continue with other functionality.
Correct. After giving from account to account and clicking, and after giving the amount, we'll click on next button, right?
Yes. Yes.
That will work.
Okay.
But after clicking on submit, OTP and all that won't work because of functional issues. So
Yes.
those things we can ignore.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
We will do performance testing. We will get errors. We will get timeout issues, but that is because of functionality issues, downstream issues. So we cannot we don't need because that is a non-functional issues. Your managers and all people are aware of it. So you can explain that there is some issue with downstream functionality. Functional testing is still in progress. That is a known issue. So people will understand. What will be what is the further transaction? It's a logout only, right? That's it. Okay. So that's how you need to manage your performance testing nowadays. Okay. Nowadays everything changed. Previously it used to be different performance. But all functional issues aim under performance testing చేస్తాం. But now there are a lot of there can be a lot of functional issues while you're doing, but not in all applications. In the application which I'm working is like that, but in your projects it can be a different scenario. Okay. So this is the first stage. You need to gather these type of requirements. So how do you gather these type of requirements? I will tell you that. Before I go to the second stage, let me open this document, NFRs. See, this is, consider this as an OLX application. You know OLX application? So what do you do in OLX application? Buying products and selling products, right? Right. So consider this, you are doing a performance testing for an OLX based application, right? And these are the NFRs. These are the example NFRs. This is how you will see the NFRs in your applications, in your projects also. What is NFR1? Okay, NFR1 is application related NFR, and what it is saying, what is the description? The solution must be able to support 500 active users. So these are the this is an NFR sheet for OLX application. So OLX application is where you will sell the products and buy the products, right? So you have different scenarios in OLX application. One scenario is seller. People will sell the products. So they are called sellers, right? Some people will buy the products. They are called buyers, right? And for the same application, when you are selling a product, someone it will not, it will take some time to post that particular product. Someone will authorize that product. It will not directly post. Some products, if they are if the product which you are selling is not good, it will not get posted. They will reject it. Who are they? They are called admins, right? So we have OLX. In OLX, the people who are working in OLX, they are called admins. What they'll do, what is their job? Whenever you are selling a product, they will authorize that. So we have admins also, and obviously you have call center or customer support people, right? There are any issues, we'll call those people, right? These are the four scenarios which we have for any OLX based application, right? So what are the scenarios? Admin, seller, buyer, and call center, right? So admin supports how many users? 4 users. 2 for seller and 2 for product approval, right? Seller supports how many users? 50 users. And buyer supports 438 users. అంతే కదా ఓఎల్ఎక్స్ లో పర్చేస్లు ఎక్కువ నడుస్తాయా, అమ్మే వాళ్ళు ఎక్కువ మంది ఉంటారా, కొనేవాళ్ళు ఎక్కువ మంది? కొనేవాళ్ళు. దట్ ఈస్ యూ హ్యావ్ మోర్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ బయర్స్ when compared to sellers, right? And call center people are 8, right? So this is how you need to get the users. If you are working for a banking application also, you have in admin place low, you have customer, like you have maybe account opening, right? Seller place low, you might be having bill payment. Buyer place low, you might be having fund transfer, right? Call center place low, you might be having another scenario, right? Same call center ఉండొచ్చు. So even for banking also, you need to design these kinds of scenarios. For members అంటే nothing but users కదా, users. Yeah, requirement దగ్గరికి వస్తున్నాను. So generally they we have SME teams, subject matter experts అని ప్రతి అప్లికేషన్ కి కంపెనీస్ లో we have SMEs. Yeah, ప్రతి application. So we need to contact them, okay, and they will pick these details. But what is happening nowadays is most of the people, like 99% of the people, doesn't know what to give. If you call them and if you ask them to give these details, how many users, what we need to test, which scenarios we need to test. For example, you are testing for a banking application and you have to test that particular banking application. You need to know what to test, right? Okay, so if you ask them from whom you need to get these requirements, SMEs. But if you ask them, they'll say, no, we don't know, you should contact development team. Then you will contact development team. Okay, if you should ask development team, then they will say that you have, no, we don't know, you contact infra team. Okay, then you will contact infra team. They'll also say, no, we don't know, you have to check that. We also don't. So nowadays this is happening. Previous గా performance testing న్యూగా వచ్చినప్పుడు 2010 2008 ఆ టైంలో ఎలా ఉండేదంటే they used to give us requirements. But nowadays, because of this fast DevOps culture, everyone are busy, everyone has their own work, and they are not able to concentrate on these details, and they are not helping us on these details. But what we need to do is get these details by ourselves. Maname ఈ details. One option is to get these details from them. If they are not giving this, we need to get these details by ourselves. How we need to get these details? How do we know which details we need to get? For example, OLX application is or take a banking application, ICICI bank application. Between 9 and 10, you need to do load test for 1 hour. So you need to know how many users, with how many users we need to run the load test, right? Right. For 1 year, total 1 year calendar low, which month more transactions will happen? A month lo more transactions jarugutai. Maybe financial year start March, April. Okay. Consider March. In that March 1 month low, which day more transactions will happen? If you have no idea, you can contact SMEs. They'll tell you those days. Information wal istar. So consider that day. And then what you need to do is you need to get the production statistics for that particular day. What are production statistics? Particular 1 day lo any transactions jarigayi, entamandi users login ayyara. Those things you need to get. How you will get? Contact your infrastructure team, servers team, or database team, and they will give you those details. They'll give you those details easily. They have their own queries. They will fire those queries, and they'll give date ranges, March first week. Okay, between that time and this time, they'll give you first week details, March first week details. Tell you those details. You have to ask them how many fund transfers happened in March first week, how many bill payments happened in March first week. Okay, how many account creations, account openings happened March first week. Like these details you need to get. Okay, so for example, they tell you that they'll give you details like this: fund transfers, like there are 5,000 fund like 5,000 fund transfers happened. Okay, bill payments 7,000 happened. Okay, account openings 2,500 for 1 week. Right now you need to calculate. You are doing load test for 1 day, so you need to calculate it for 1 day, right? So what you need to do, right? Ante kada? So this is 1 week data, and this is 1 day data, right? And now what you need to get? And what you need to get? You're doing a load test, right? And you need to do load test for 1 hour. So you need to get 1 hour data. 1 hour data. What will be your 1 hour data again? Divided by 24. But is this correct? Is this correct? Is this calculations correct or not? Can we target for 29 fund transfers for a load test? I don't think this is correct. The calculations correct. We have taken 1 week data. But do you think that fund transfers will happen throughout this 1 week continuously? They won't sleep. They will sleep for few hours, 8 hours. So we need to remove that timings, right? So you need to consider that also, and based on that only you need to calculate, right? So maybe you need to divide this by 4, not 7. You need to remove that time which they are not doing fund transfers and bill payments, right? And this also 24 hours. You can't give 24 hours here. You have to give something like 16 hours and calculate that way, right? And these are the actual timings. That is why you need to take. వాళ్ళు 1 week data ఇచ్చారు కదా అని you cannot divide that by divided by 7, and for 1 hour data you cannot divide by 24. You cannot do that because these transactions, they people or end users will not do continuously throughout the day, throughout the week. Continuously అదే పనిలో ఉండరు వాళ్ళు. So they will take their breaks and all. Okay, based on that you need to calculate. Most of the times how your infra team or database team will give you data is something like this, right? How, like I'll tell you, they'll say fund transfer day. Okay, March 1. Okay, March 2 వచ్చేసి 400. This is how I got the data in my current application. Okay, March 3 ఇట్లా మీకు స్టాటిస్టిక్స్ వస్తాయి. March 1, March 2 ఎన్ని ఫండ్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ జరిగాయి. March 1 లో how many fund transfers happened? 500. March 2 లో 400. March 3 లో 50. Like March 4 lo maybe 700. Like that you will get the data sometimes. And what you need to which data you need to consider here? The highest data always. Okay, what is the highest data here? 700. Consider 700. 700 fund transfers are happening in one day, and 700 fund transfers low, how many fund transfers are happening 1 hour divided by 16 or 14, you will get those details. Okay, so that is your target here. That is how you need to get the target details, right? So here you got number of fund transfers happened. You also need to get the number of users, right? That also you will get from the database. You just need to ask them. Similar details. March 1 low, how many people logged in? March 2 low, how many people logged in? March 3 low, how many people logged in? And what transactions they are doing? That also you need to know, right? Because few people will log in and they will just log in, they will check their account balance and log off. Most of the people will come into this category only. Salary padinda just check cheskoni log off అయిపోతుంది. Okay, only few people will do fund transfers in one day. Only very few people will do bill payments. Most of the people will just log in to check their account balance. So ఈ categories kuda they will give you how many people logged in and checking their account balance, how many people logged in and doing fund transfers, how many people logged in and doing bill payments. Those things also you'll get from them. So that is how you need to identify the number of users and number of transactions by contacting your database administrators or admin teams. Okay, correct. అంటే ప్రతి యూజర్ కి లాగిన్స్ అయితే అవుతాయి. ఫండ్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ ఎలా చేస్తారు? లాగిన్ అవ్వకుండా ఫండ్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ అయితే చేయలేరు కదా. సో లాగిన్ కి వేరే సినారియో పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. ఫర్ లాగిన్ లాగౌట్ we used to do that. Login logout ki login, checking account balance, log off. Ante. That is one scenario. Correct. Definitely try that. That is very important scenario because most of the users will just log in, check their balance and log off. That is important. So that is how we need to capture the details. So again, coming into this OLX application, so you have admin, seller, buyer and call center. These are the scenarios you have, and these are the users. These are the users, not transactions. Buyers 438 users, 50 users for seller, 4 users for admin, and call center 8 users. And which type of load test is this? NFR1. Can you tell me? Which type of test is this? Solution must be able to support 500 users. That means this is a load test. Okay, and NFR2 solution must be able to support the future volume of active users of 2634 active users. So this is a stress test. Okay, because you are testing with 2,634 users now itself. Application currently is supporting 500 users, but you are testing here with 2634. So you are stressing your application. This is a stress test. Our stress test ke sambandhinchina users. Admin for stress test is 10. Now the admin users are only 4, but in future, after a few years, admin users will increase to 10. The same way, seller users might increase to 100. Buyer users might increase from 438 to 2,500. Right? OLX application will increase its business, and their users, sellers, admins, call center people, everyone will increase. This one, what is this test?
Volume testing.
Can you read this? Solution must be performed well during the long period of time. Yes, long period of time, endurance, right? So solution must be performed well during the long period of time. That means we are doing this test for 14 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours, 24 hours. This is endurance test, and the average volume it should support is 304, not 500. 500 is for ఈ details. Again I am telling you, ఈ details మీకు ఇంత ఇలా కూడా ఇవ్వరు. Again you need to collect whatever details you need from your production stats. Okay, so you need to see endurance test. Every time you need to conduct your endurance test with 75% of your peak load. What is your peak load here? 500. 500 is my peak load. Peak load means the load test we are doing with 500 units, right? Endurance test చేస్తున్నప్పుడు always you cannot do your endurance test with 500 users only. You need to reduce little load. You need to make it 304. You need to reduce to 75%. That is performance test standard. Endurance test you always do with 75% load. Why? What is the reason? Can anyone guess? Okay, it is run for long duration, but why can't you do with 500 users peak load? Correct. Exactly. That is right. Exactly. See here. See March 1st low, I have 500 users. March 2, I have 400 users. March 3, 250 users. March 4, 700 users. But which day I will consider for load test? 700, March 4. But endurance test, I am not doing with 700 users, because every time when we are doing load test for 1 hour low, again March 4 low, for example, just think that this is 5,000. Okay, just think that this is 4,000. Okay, think this is 2,500 and think this is 7,000. Okay, we will consider March 4 for our load test, and again load test we will do for 1 hour, right? What we need to do? 7,000 divided by 15. How much it is? 437. So we will try to achieve 437 users here. Okay, 437 users. But for endurance test, we are not going to do with 437. The reason behind that is 437, we are considering 437 as peak users. Every time we will not be having peak users, because we are doing endurance test for 14 hours, 18 hours. Okay, first 1 hour low we might be having 437 users. Next 1 hour between 12:01, it's a lunch break, you will have very less number of users, right? Between 1 2 also you will have less. Peak users ఎప్పుడు between 9 and 10 ఉంటారు. So you cannot give this 437 into 14, and you cannot test with 437 users all the time. So you need to reduce this 437 users. Always you will not have this 437 user load, right? That is why we are taking 75% of your peak load. And what is this test? Spike, right? Solution must be able to support spike load of buyer and seller during the sale period, right? I told you, sale periods vachinappudu you will have peak loads. So that also it should support, right? NFR 5. What is this? It gets an average of 200 requests per hour every time. admin gets an average of 200 requests per hour every time. That means how many transactions you need to achieve for admin scenario? 200, right? Admin gets an average of 200 requests per hour every time. So you need to achieve 200 transactions for admin users. How many admin users you have? 4 admin users. So 4 admin users, so you have to achieve 200 transactions. And admin law, how many scenarios you have? 2 scenarios. One, seller ki separate administrators unnaru, product approval ki separate administrators. So there are 2 scenarios. So 2 users for seller and 2 users for product approval. So for seller you need to achieve 100 and product approval you need to achieve 100, so that you will achieve 100 in 1 hour, right? What is this? NFR 6, number of orders, right? Peak hour volume 1340, sale hour volume 2830, future volume 7500, and average volume 600, right? 4% of the users cancel the order every time. What is this order? Who will do orders? Sellers or buyers? Buyers. So these are your transactions of your buyers. So NFRs kuda vachinappudu itla indirect gaane untayi, direct ga undavu. So what I am saying here, number of orders. Who will do orders? Buyers will do orders, not sellers. Buyers will do orders. So these are the transactions for your buyers. 4% of the users cancel the order in every scenario. That means buyers will cancel the scenario, right? So buyers flow, how many scenarios you have? 2 scenarios, buying and canceling, right? Buying a product and canceling a product, again 2 scenarios you have, right? So buyers flow, again peak hour volume. So buyers, so you need to achieve how many transactions you need to achieve in 1 hour? 1340. Sale hour, this is your spike test. Sale hour, spike test you need to achieve 2830. Future volume stress, you need to achieve this much. Average volume, I think this is for endurance, you need to achieve 600. Sellers add an average of 180 products per hour and delete 18 existing products. Again, for each scenario, this time this is for sellers. Previously, this is for buyers. This is for sellers. Sellers lo any scenarios unnai? Selling a product and deleting existing product, right? So again, 2 scenarios you have for seller, 2 scenarios you have for buyer, scenarios you have for seller. Okay, for sellers add an average of 180 products every hour. So add product should have 180 transactions in 1 hour, and delete product should 18 transactions per hour. Okay, and finally call center people. Call center employees get 40 complaints in 1 hour. So how many transactions you need to achieve here? 40. How many call center people are there? 8. And how many scenarios you have in call center? 1 scenario. Call center ki separate scenarios ఏముండవు. Complaints తీసుకోవడం. Next, NFR 9. Response time of any page must not exceed 3 seconds except trust. Okay, అర్థమైందా? Response time ఏ టెస్ట్ లో, లోడ్ టెస్ట్ అయినా, ఎండ్యూరెన్స్ టెస్ట్ అయినా, స్పైక్ టెస్ట్ అయినా, ఏ టెస్ట్ అయినా, response time should not exceed 3 seconds. But except stress test. Stress test ki మాత్రం exemption ఇచ్చాడు. Error rate of the transaction must not exceed 1%. CPU utilization must not exceed 60%. ఇది వాడి ప్రొడక్ట్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్, డోంట్ వరీ అబౌట్ దట్. ఇట్లాంటి రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ మీకు రియల్ అప్లికేషన్స్ లో ఇవ్వరు, జస్ట్ మీకు శాంపుల్ చూపిస్తున్నాను. రియల్ అప్లికేషన్స్ లో యూ నీడ్ టు కన్సిడర్ 75% CPU utilization. Error rate is 3%. Memory utilization must not exceed 15%. Disk utilization must not exceed 15%. There must not have any memory leakage. Where we will get memory leakage generally? Which test? Soak test. Soak test. Endurance. Endurance test ki inko pair ఏంటంటే soak test. Okay, SOAK, soak test. So we will do endurance test or soak test to identify if there are any memory leaks. So what is another NFR? There must not be any memory leakage. And what is this? Buyers order at an average of 1 peak hour rate 3.06 products per hour. Buyers will do orders, right? They'll do orders, and they should order at an average rate of 3.06 products per hour. Ante, how many buyers are there? How many buyers we are doing? Yeah, 438. So all the 438 users low, each user should do how many orders in 1 hour? 3.06 orders here. That means 438 users should do how many orders at the end? 438 into 3.06. So buyers should achieve that many transactions. So these are your NFR requirements itla untayi. And ఇది ఇంకా what else says, this is really spoon feeding type of requirements. Itla kuda undavu. NFR documents lo you will get a PDF document. That document we call it as business requirement document or TSD, technical specification document. Our document lo what you will have is all requirements related to developers, requirement related to functional testers, and requirements related to performance testers, requirements related to security testing. All these testings key have requirements in that document. Our document lo you need to go to the section which is related to you. What is that section? NFR section, non-functional requirements section kelli. There you have to ఒక few lines లో ఇస్తాడు వాడికి ఏం కావాలి, ప్రొడక్ట్ అప్లికేషన్ టెస్ట్ చేయడానికి వాడికి ఏం కావాలి few lines లో ఇస్తాడు. ఎట్లా ఇస్తాడు? రెస్పాన్స్ టైం రిలేటెడ్ ఇస్తాడు. పేజ్ షుడ్ లోడ్ విత్ ఇన్ 5, ఆల్ పేజెస్ షుడ్ లోడ్ విత్ ఇన్ 5 seconds అంటాడు. సింపుల్, అట్లా తేల్చేస్తాడు అంతే. ఆల్ పేజెస్ షుడ్ లోడ్ విత్ ఇన్ 5 seconds అంటాడు. ఓకే. అండ్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్ కూడా జనరల్ గా ఇవ్వడు. హౌ మెనీ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్ యూ నీడ్ టు అచీవ్. If they don't give the transactions, what you need to do? You need to contact your infrastructure team or database team and you need to get this statistics. Okay. If they give you in NFRs, you don't need to contact them. They give you user details, transaction details in NFR, well and good. If they don't give, then you need to contact their team. So that is what you need to do in the stage 1. Any doubts in this point? Because based on this NFR sheet, I am going to explain you about this workload modeling tomorrow. So do you have this document? I'll ask Vamsi to share this document. Just go through these NFRs once, because tomorrow I'm going to explain you about this. Based on these NFRs, tomorrow I'm going to explain you about this pacing calculation and what is this workload model, because this is very important in performance. As an interview question also, they'll ask you what is pacing, what is think time. Okay, all these things we'll give in our scripts. On execution law, scripting law, we'll give think time, and pacing and think time we'll give in scripting, and TPH we'll give in our executions. Okay, and users, we'll give in our executions here. Test duration we'll give during our executions. So these are number of transactions. ఈ calculation pacing అంటే ఏంటి, what is this pacing అనేది రేపు నేను మీకు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. Today just go through this particular NFR sheet, because based on this NFR sheet only I'm going to explain you about this pacing calculation. And there are 2 ways to calculate this pacing. I'll explain you both the ways. Second way will be easy for you. First way koncham difficult, but I'll explain you both the ways. This pacing calculation anedi, it's 100% interview question. You will get this question for sure. What is pacing? How do you calculate pacing? They'll ask you, if you need to achieve 1000 transactions with 20 users, what will be your pacing? Atla adugutar interview lo. you should be able to quickly calculate and tell them. So దీని వెనకాల లాజిక్ ఏంటి? Why are you calculating this? That you need to understand. So tomorrow I'm going to explain you based on this NFRs. We are going to calculate this spacing, and we are going to prepare this entire workload model based on this NFR sheet. And the two ways నేను మీకు చెప్తాను. And this spacing will be useful in load runner tool, not Jmeter tool. The pacing is useful in load runner tool. Okay, Jmeter tool lo dealing with pacing is easy, little easy. Okay, but load runner tool lo you need to calculate this spacing. Okay, so you need to know this for sure. Okay, why load runner tool lo pacing is needed, and why Jmeter tool lo why you don't need this pacing anedi kuda repu. And tomorrow again I am going to explain you about stage 2 think time versus spacing in start chesi. Okay, sorry, stage 2 is test strategy kada. What do you have in stress strategy document? Akkadi start chesta. Okay, and after that I'll explain you about think time and pacing, and I'll go to this pacing calculation. I'll tell you this pacing calculation. Okay, fine then we'll meet tomorrow.